seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian at WhisperStatus74. Welcome to the community, welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today's video will be on burn-in. I've covered burn-in many times throughout the years since the channel has started, and actually have been called a fearmonger in regards to burn-in, even though every video I've done on the subject has been how to avoid it, or that I don't think it's as big a deal as it once has been. Quickly, if you've had an OLED that burned in immediately within a few days, or there were any issues, typically that's a defective panel. It needs to go back. They should not burn in immediately. Ratings.com did an excellent test. So did HDD Tests. Vincent did an excellent test as well over long periods of time. Do I feel that it can happen? Absolutely. Do I feel that it should still be a fear? I don't know if it should be a fear as much as a concern, and there are a few steps that you can take to minimize it. But today we're going to focus on what I do with it in regards to how I use my OLED, and some of you guys can relate to that. In the back behind me, you're going to see a demo running from Jennifer Gala Media, who is a friend to the channel and a community member, has an amazing channel herself. Put a description about her channel below. She is a filmmaker, also does documentary series, all kinds of amazing work, and I run her demos a lot of times after long gaming sessions. I'm going to show you the demo that I'm running now, as well as some other demos from HDR channel and LG's own channel, and what I typically do after long gaming sessions. Now, for me, what people will say to me is they don't want to buy an OLED simply because it'll burn in. They want to watch news for 10-12 hours, leave their TV on all the time, want to fall asleep with their TV on. They don't want to engage the sleep timer or anything like that. If that's something that you do with your display, then I don't recommend using an OLED. Not to say that your habits or how you watch your display is wrong. It's just something that might not be for you. Not every technology is for everyone. My analogy has always been, when dealing with high-end electronics or high-end anything, a little bit of extra care is required. A little bit, one more step to make sure that that technology is taken care of is something that I'm willing to do. If it's not something that you want to do, or it's too arduous to do that after a long game session, or after a long day of coming home from work, you don't want to take a few extra seconds to recycle the pixels on OLED, I completely understand. But to me, it's almost like when you have a very high-end car, you can't just put regular gas in it. You can't just drive it like a lot of other vehicles. There's a little bit of care that you need to put into it, and that's where I feel OLED is. The image behind me looks very washed out. It's just because the camera's not focusing on it, so please don't look at that as her work. So quickly, what I do, and I'll show you a little bit of gameplay to show you what I feel is a concern, is the heads-up display of many of these titles. The issue isn't so much you playing for 10, 12 hours, or whatever your game time is. For me, the issue is the static image on screen. Same game without switching up content is really the biggest culprit, in my humble opinion. Yes, the displays have all kinds of safeguards in place, pixel refresh, they have all kinds of technology built into it. They do have, screensavers that you can imply or apply to all of your different devices that will help with that. But for many of you, what it is it's gaming for long periods of time, and typically multiplayer titles. Or if you're playing the same RPG for 10, 12, 14, 40 hours, I don't mean 40 hours in one shot, but 40 hours, that's the only game you play. Now, many people will tell me that that's ridiculous, that's not how they play. However, there are many of you that's exactly how you play. For me, this is not my main display, it's in a little home theater, and what ends up happening with me is I'll play, say, Modern Warfare, Titanfall, some of those games, Battlefield, and what I'll do is I'll play that game, I'll shut down the display, and I won't use that display for a few days, and then I'll repower it on, and it ends up being the same game over and over. That's typically how I play multiplayer. I don't have as much time to play as I used to, so what ends up happening is sometimes that display will only play that same game. That might be the only thing it plays for a few weeks. Now, many of you are going to say, well, if you're not playing that often, then that's not something to worry about. I don't feel that's the case. What I feel is it's the same static image that hits time after time after time. We see that a lot in store with these demos that are only 3 minutes long. They have words on them and they burn in. I've done videos on that. You've seen those over the years in Target and in Best Buy. So enough talking for me. Special shout out to Jennifer Gala. And I'm going to show you a little bit of Call of Duty gameplay to show you what I fear will burn in. Alright guys, we're behind the camera just looking at some Modern Warfare, and the things to look at is obviously you see the compass at the top, which still moves, but the mini-map on the left, the game score on the bottom left, the mini-map on the upper left, the gun, also your loadout. There's also a model build number at the very bottom that's more transparent, but that is there. It does move around, but that's there. So the idea is if you do play this game for hours and hours and hours, this is just that simple exercise as those little static HUD elements, whether it's FIFA, Madden, whatever you play, Rainbow Six, Fortnite, all these games do have them, more so than, say, single-player campaigns. Maybe even some RPGs have those same static elements, driving games, it doesn't matter. So the idea is if you're going to play for hours upon hours is to kind of go through, play, cycle this off, and then run those demos for just a few minutes after, which I'll go through right now. Alright guys, behind the camera, you're done gaming. I have a playlist for myself that is in my library, liked videos, and I run these demos. I run them, so they're about a minute and a half long. Most of them, you see Jennifer Gala's down in the middle, HDR channel, as well as LG's own demos, very colorful. I let these run for just a few minutes, enough to satisfy me while I'm cleaning up the rest of the room. Even if it's late night gaming, I'm shutting down the rest of the equipment. It takes another, again, 5 minutes just to protect yourself. I don't like to shut off the display, even though there's all of the pixel refresh and all that. Let's just show you the demos that I'm running. Now you're going to see some blooming as the camera adjusts. Obviously this is an OLED, there isn't any blooming, but full landscape, filling the screen up, different colors. Picture where those static images were when you were watching Modern Warfare. As this transitions, her content is also in 8K, filmed in 8K, but I like seeing how colorful the full screen image is. Letting this run for a few minutes. Again, check out her channel. Her work is amazing, especially the music and the visuals, documentaries, but I love the full screen. And the image that you're going to see. We're going to just show you a few minutes of both demos, of all the demos. And on Panasonic Plasmas, if you guys remember the screen wipe that many of us used to use, I like using this kind of for the same reason. Getting the whole screen colorful. The hope, again, is to get those pixels from being in that same exact static image that is there, from going from one game, instead of going to another game, running, say, Fortnite, Modern Warfare, Rainbow Six, whatever you're playing, right to that very next game. Now you have the liquid skies from the HDR channel. The interesting thing about this particular demo is obviously there is writing in the corner, but that's not what I'm worried about. It's the static image in the corner of the heads-up display that I would use over and over for gaming. Even that's going to be different than what was on there before. Again, this one is only a few minutes. And while it might seem ridiculous, again, OLED has many safeguards in place. This is how I protect my panel. And just a simple exercise that I do after gaming. I don't bother doing it with movies. Movies are dynamic. The scenes change. They aren't repetitive, even with black bars. I don't watch any cable down here. But for somebody who likes to watch a lot of cable news, it's a simple exercise you can run real quick before powering on your display. I'll also do a separate video with my favorite 4K demos. Again, check out HDR channel and also check out Jennifer Gala's channel as well. It's amazing all the demos that we watch. Very few of them are actually 4K or HDR. A lot of the HDR channel ones are obviously HDR, and Jennifer's are all HDR, and they're 8K if you have that capability. But to me, a lot of these demos are better than what you see in store. The LG ones are pretty sick. And as much as we like the visuals, or I like the visuals, remember the point is to simply use the entire screen. And remember, you know, for me, at least in my opinion, what you see mostly that's an issue is the 8 or the 4K gaming is the repetitive static images of the same content, not the period of time that content is on screen, but that same content over and over. So powering off your display and then literally running it again with the same content. To me, that's where burn-in really comes from. That's just my thought process on it, but those are the examples that I've seen more than somebody playing one night for 8 or 10 hours. And I know I'm in the minority with that thought process of high-end equipment needs a little extra care. People do feel like if they pay for something, they should be able to beat it up. That's on you. That's, you know, however you feel, but that's not what I think. I do think it does need a little extra care, and I'm willing to spend that little extra time. But these demos are gorgeous. Now this is a 55-inch CX, but this is something you can use for any OLED or plasma for that matter. This is another LG Global. I've actually seen this one on the Z9 at Value Electronics, the LG Z9 8K OLED, and it looks unreal. But it's amazing how good this looks as well. I think I have a video with this in the Z9G. But again, just to repeat, if you're just watching for the first time here, is just again, this is an entire full screen being refreshed. Different pixels, different colors, different landscapes, not just effects. Which is why that demo I had with the HDR, with HDR channels video with a little bit of writing in the corner, that doesn't concern me. It's only 2 minutes, and we really want to get the colors flowing and the pixels again to refresh. Yeah, if you look at, this is the one I did use on the LG Z9. That TV was like $30,000. It's their first 8K OLED. Go on the channel and you can find that actually, you'll see this in 8K. Which, looking at it at 80 plus inches, you actually can see the 8K resolution. And lastly, I do like this newer one by LG, which is their Black Level Ice demo. Again, full screen. It sounds ridiculous, but they're also relaxing to watch. So again, while it seems arduous to have to be able to do this, what I think is the best way to do it is set yourself up a little playlist, put it in your YouTube, and then literally just run it again, you know, towards the end of the night. And they'll just run consecutively. Put play all and just play them and enjoy the image, again, while you're cleaning up the rest of your room or whatever you got going on before bed. Again, this is for also long gaming sessions where you're worried about playing the same game or same content over and over. That's not going to be films, because films are dynamic. Even if you watch the same movie over and over, that constantly switches. Alright guys, I am Brian at WhisperStatus74. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. This is, again, a pixel refresh kind of video, things that I do after I'm done playing long gaming sessions. I will talk to you soon, and I will see you in the comments. Take care.